A quiet week for Battlefield 5, a new weapon, continued discontent over the state of the game, and an episode of On the Battlefield covering weapons to be added in Chapter 4. This is your week on the Battlefield. Welcome to this episode of This Week on the Battlefield, the show where we cover news, updates, the community, and so much more, all around the Battlefield franchise. Jumping straight into the news, this week in Battlefield 5 saw the introduction of the Carabine 1938M, a semi-automatic rifle for the Assault class. It can be unlocked via the weekly Tides of War assignment, which ends this coming week on Thursday. If you don't manage to unlock it in time, you will be able to buy it at a later date for company coin, which, according to Adam Freeman, one of the community managers for Battlefield 5, is now always 1 week after the weapon was last available to be unlocked. In other words, if you don't get it unlocked this week, you're going to have to wait a week to actually be able to purchase it with company coin. This week also saw further updates to Battlefield 5 in update 4.02, which was exclusively available for the Xbox because it exclusively targeted crashing and stability issues over on that platform. Now overall, it does seem like this update has been slightly more successful in addressing some of the major stability issues over on Xbox. However, I've still seen people reporting issues with the stability on the game over on that platform, so it remains to be seen if even further hotfixes aren't required to fully bring back the stability that you expect from a AAA title. The episode of On the Battlefield this week focused all around the Chapter 4 weapons, the C96 Trench Carbine, the Carabine 1938M, the one you can unlock this week, the Panzerbuchse 39, a further anti-material rifle, and the S2-200, a weapon that of course most of you have already played with and unlocked. Interesting to see the weapon designers' thoughts on why certain weapons are being introduced into the game and how they should shake up the meta. However, it does leave the question open if those 4 weapons are actually the only ones we will see introduced in Chapter 4 of Tides of War. It seems slightly unlikely, given that Chapter 4 is quite a lengthy chapter, and usually we see slightly more in terms of new weaponry for various classes. Also this week, and this is, in my opinion, the most important news of the week, we saw the introduction of the Close Quarters Combat playlist, not only bringing a selection of TDM maps, but also a selection of Frontline maps back to Battlefield 5. Specifically, the maps in question for Frontlines are Narvik, Twisted Steel, and Mercury, with the first two having a certain amount of work done on them since they were last available to play. This via some internal feedback mechanisms which I myself, amongst other people, were luckily able to actually take part on and give DICE some feedback on how they could improve Frontlines, and for those who are a fan of the game mode, the difference is definitely noticeable. And with a bit of help from the community and plenty of people actually playing this playlist, hopefully we don't only see Frontlines return permanently, but all of the remaining maps see a similar workover as well, improving the playability and the enjoyability of the game mode as such. In terms of what to expect next week, sadly we don't have too much to look forward to as of yet. We will be getting a new weekly mission, of course, allowing us to unlock the epic waterproof weapon skin for the Sten gun, and we will see the return of Rush to Battlefield 5, which is actually something to look forward to. In terms of community announcements or patches, there's not too much expected, especially given that the next patch has been delayed to late July as to allow the devs to address some of the more major issues currently plaguing Battlefield 5. Issues, for example, such as the invisible soldier bug, which they are making apparently substantial progress on, but have yet to fully actually fix. In terms of news on Al Sudan, there isn't actually much to talk about. The Conquest and Breakthrough versions of the map are not set to come to Battlefield 5 anytime soon as it looks as of now. The developers are currently prioritizing fixing some of the more foundational issues with Battlefield 5 instead of addressing the issues plaguing that map. However, in good news, as it stands right now, Marisha remains to be released on time towards the end of this month and could actually turn out to be coming before Al Sudan, given that that map's release date is very much still in limbo. In community news, there really isn't that much to talk beyond what we already talked about in last week. Of course, there's plenty of people still very much upset about the state of Battlefield 5, and that's no surprise given that very little has actually been done in terms of updates to address that in the last week, other than of course for the Xbox platform. I did actually put a video out this week on the CTE and how I believe that could improve the situation and go over some of the arguments that are for and against introducing it for Battlefield 5, so if you're interested in that, I'll have that linked in the usual places. But other than that, the thirst for a stable Battlefield game and a stable, enjoyable Battlefield 5 continues for the majority of the members in the Battlefield community. But with that, of course, over to our only in Battlefield moments. And this week we start off with Descended Blade, going on a troll mission to distract what seems like half of the enemy snipers all on his own. He actually managed to stay alive for quite some time, actually a ridiculous amount of time, without getting hit. I'm not quite sure if it's down to his dodging and dancing skills, or if it's just the absolute ineptness of the enemy snipers. Anyway, I found it to be a relatively entertaining clip. Next up, we have TO98K showing us one of the most effective flanks in the game. That is, if you can actually pull it off, over on Aerodom on Breakthrough, netting himself a nice shotgun streak on the objective in the process. And lastly today we have Ghost, not only flying through the bridge on Twisted Steel while doing a spin, but also picking up a cheeky kill. But with that, we're coming to the end of this week's episode. If you enjoyed the show, find it interesting or entertaining, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share, and of course hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 5. Feel free to hit me up with your feedback, suggestions, and opinions down below in the comments or over on Twitter. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you in the next episode of This Week on the Battlefield.